This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
The recording has started. Recording has in fact started, and you are listening to Super Connectivity. I am your host, Charlie the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the man who made all of this possible.
Phil Perich.
That's the one. Hey, Philip, glad to have you. I'm glad to have you too.
I'm glad to see you too.
I'm glad we have moved on to the next level of grad. We've graduated to seeing each other. Welcome once again to Super Connectivity, Philip. There is stuff to talk about this week. Of course, I think what is the biggest news is that the merger is like official. It was like made official on like the 21st or the 22nd. So just this week, and you know, they legally can now do whatever they want.
We could get a big X or a big 4 at the end of Endgame.
I see the problem. Okay, here's the thing. You can do that. You can just say X coming soon but that's just like a teaser. It's like,
no, I'm just saying you can have a big 4 on a building, or you can have the outside of Xavier's school or whatever. But I don't think we're going to see any actual people.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. But see, the thing to me is, if you're going to do it, you got to do something. You got to have someone there to make this impressive.
Yeah.
You got to have, someone show up. This is why I do think that it will be Deadpool. Not for nothing, Feige has said Deadpool is safe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, what else? What's more popular over in that Foxverse than Deadpool?
Well, exactly. He is
especially with Hugh Jackman not coming back. Yeah.
He is basically the Wonder Woman of the X universe. That one's coming back. We're working with her. And so I think, and someone had posted this earlier, was like, it would be really great to see Deadpool show up at in the final end credits, just have him run out onto the battlefield after everyone is left, and just saying, "Oh man, I missed it. Sorry, the murder just took so long." But that's the point: is that he can booknote it with a lot of humor that's going to really treat the fans and make them happy without having them commit to anything. Because that's the thing. People have suggested, what if they do the next big villain? What if they do Galactus? What if they do Doctor Doom? What if they do Kang? Which they technically Kang is one they could have always used, but now it's like they don't have to worry about any Rama Tut stuff. And the reality is that if you do anything like that, add it in there as a last minute thing, you're committing yourself to something that they then have to work in. And this is one of these things which people have said, when they first introduced Thanos, they really didn't know what Thanos was going to be. And there is a big difference between that first Thanos, in fact, a completely different actor, that first Thanos in Avengers, and the final Thanos we have at the end. When at the end of the original Avengers, they say attacking Earth is courting death, and Thanos smiles. It's like, oh, courting death, yeah, because we all know who Thanos is. Except I actually had to explain that to the lady next to me in the theater.
It'll never happen, but the best scene in the world would be like in Endgame if they restore it, 3 hours and they restore everything, everyone's back, and then all of a sudden, just from behind, you see like somebody cut Thanos' head off, and Deadpool gets in Thor's face and says, "See, this is why you go for the head."
That would be funny. But I do see, but that's the thing, is like anything Deadpool do, it's gonna be funny. That means you're ending with humor.
Yeah.
What I also think, here's my big prediction. The very start of this is gonna be Scott coming back. And seeing, because we've seen this scene where he's coming in, he sees all the missing posters everywhere, and he's like, "What's going on?" Here's my big prediction. Scott comes back at the start of the film, and it sets up this sort of dramatic moment of the empty world. And then he's going to meet Lewis, and Lewis is going to catch him up in the way he does. And
Nice.
that is going to be their way to just sort of break the tension with humor to create this idea of where they're going to go. And maybe that's not the start of it. Maybe what it's going to be is you're going to open with much more somber, like, our cap or things like that, and what are we going to do? But I think, here's the thing. I think it has to end with a triumphant note, especially after the way that Avengers 3 Electric Boogaloo ended.
Wasn't this the end of phase 3 or phase 2, whatever?
It's the end of the Infinity Saga, Philip.
I was gonna say, what if you have Lewis recap the whole MCU up to this point?
Well,
real quick.
Obviously, everybody would love to see that, but it doesn't really. He doesn't need to recap the whole. Actually, what I want to see, what I really want to see, is I want to see a feature-length film of Korg and Lewis, but it's like My Dinner with Andre. and it's just Lewis talking to Korg to catch him up on everything. Oh, so here's what goes on with all the superheroes. Like, okay, so this is the world. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you what it's like. Okay, that's how you do that scene.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough fan desire for that Marvel not making that as a thing is it's a waste of money. It's money because we'd pay for that. We'd pay $1 for that. We'd pay $10 for that,
Mm-hmm.
And if you give it away on that Disney Plus, that is a big seller to get anyone to sign up to Disney Plus. Don't even have to do this desperate 80 cents for the first month deal.
Oh, we didn't talk about on Capes and Lunatics
mm-hmm.
that I've completely forgotten until now. Did you see the announcement this week? I think that if it's not done, it's just about done. They're ending the Spider-Man comic strip in all the newspapers.
Yeah. Well, this was the last, and I don't know if Stan Lee was still writing it officially. But yeah, I know that for the longest time he was the writer of it.
Yeah,
that was his last real tie to constantly writing a regular book for Marvel. No, it always mirrored the comic books and things like that. I'll be honest with you, I haven't read a newspaper.
Yeah, I haven't read
years,
it.
I can't say I've honestly read this Spider-Man comic.
I haven't read it in the longest time either, but I do know he actually did bring the marriage back in that comic strip.
Mm-hmm.
I think Peter, after a while, Peter just woke up in bed and was like, "Oh, it was all a bad dream. I'm still married."
Yeah, well, you know what? Honestly, Stan Lee knew what was a better story. Let's just call it shelter half an entrenching tool. They should have never killed the marriage. Who does it? Because I actually remember when he got married, and the actual Stan Lee arc of the Peter Parker wedding, which was a great time for those of you who read that. Stan Lee's take on it, and it was very nice. And I was a big reader at the time of comic books, so I actually did read the original wedding issue, and Stan Lee sort of mirrors it nicely.
In the newspaper and the comic strip, how did they not make Stan Lee the minister or whatever, or priest or whoever married them?
Oh, well, I don't know. And not for nothing that when they did that was not when cameos weren't as big back then.
That's true. That's true.
When Stan Lee wrote the Fantastic Four, he wrote himself in, him and Jack. But that is actually a much, although artists and writers have been doing that for years. Yeah. It was only a couple people that liked to do it as it was always an inside joke, and it did not get big until just now. Now everyone does.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the marriage was '87. That was even before his appearance in Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, so. That was the cameos weren't. I mean, like I said, Stan Lee's been doing cameos forever because he is at the original wedding of Reed and Sue. But yeah, I mean, honestly, what was much more common back then was you did cameos of people from other books. Mm-hmm. You have Millie the model showing up a lot. Willie Lumpkin, which of course was Stan Lee's his own creator-owned content that he decided to bring into Marvel. So yeah, I actually wonder if he actually if there was any copyright issues with that, since that was actually something that Stan Lee had actually created on his own. He actually had a syndicated comic strip called Willie Lumpkin Mailman before he ever worked at Marvel. So, yeah, I'm just telling you. Yeah, so they always talk about creators' rights. I don't know if he ever actually had his creator rights.
I was going to say,
exercised.
Where did he do that? Unless either he had the rights, or maybe whoever he did it for was out of business, or.
Well, no, I mean he did it. He did it as his own project. So he did this Willie Lumpkin thing. Mm-hmm. It was just a silly comic book about a mailman.
He probably owned it until we threw him in Marvel. And then Marvel probably.
Well, yeah, exactly. I would imagine that Marvel owns it, but it's like, yeah. When you talk about creator rights, Stanley has his own. He has his own storyline there to tell. Still waiting for the Stanley movie.
They have to make that now. Now that he's gone, they have.
Well, you don't have to make it now, but they do. They will make it eventually.
In the I'd say sometime in the next few years, I would.
Yeah, I mean it'll be a Disney film. Well, you'll do the Disney biopic. That's like the authorized, sanitized version, and then you'll do the more gritty version of the real story behind the man who gave us the heroes, and it'll be like and it'll still put him in a good light, but it'll also show warts and all of Stanley. I have to read Excelsior, see how many warts he put on himself in that book. That's his authorized biography. We'll see what they decide to do,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah. So, this was interesting. They have said that the ongoing when they do the next Captain Marvel film, it may be set in the past as well. And that struck me as an interesting thing, given that the Wonder Woman sequels keep on being set in the past. I guess they're suggesting that, and I'm not sure if this is just to have. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense in the sense that we've established that this character existed in the past. We have to show what they've been doing since.
So I wonder, is it going to be a whole space thing then? Or is it going to be like her trying to help the Skrulls find the new home world or something, maybe?
I mean, it could be. It could take up right where the last one left off, and it could be then dealing with her and the political fallout of the Skrulls. And
I mean, if
like I said,
I mean, if it's on a whole space adventure like that, I mean, that might be your. I mean, if you're not going to do it in a Fantastic Four movie, that might introduce like Galactus or. The idea of Galactus, and heralds.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Well, yeah, it will exactly. I mean, honestly, that might be even an interesting thing too. That's where I'd like to see Galactus introduced in the Captain Marvels, and have it be maybe Captain Marvel has to defeat Galactus with the ultimate nullifier.
Or
what? Actually,
or she can't defeat him, and then you have it in a Fantastic Four movie, and she helps the Fantastic Four defeat him or something.
Well, maybe anything is possible,
Mm-hmm.
We will have to see what they decide to tell the story. Actually, what I realized was this was something that just struck me the other day about Captain Marvel. We always talk about, they gave this person that, like we said, they gave Cloak and Dagger, Monica Rambeau's origin. Do you know whose origin they gave Captain Marvel?
Who?
Miss America. The original Miss America from the 1940s basically had a specialized generator explode, and that gave her the powers of flight, super strength,
but it was
vulnerability.
That was kind of Carol Danvers' origin too, because instead of a psych magnetron, you just had a, Well,
but what I thought was interesting is because here's why this is interesting. Okay. We know that the Tesseract has been in government hands since the 1940s.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates this idea, like, if you could go back and using the Tesseract in earlier experiments, actually create the Wizard and Miss America in the 1940s, and then have them retire to, I don't know, maybe a country like Sokovia, where they have their twins.
Yeah, but are they going to be the parents now? Because now we can use Magneto. Magneto can be their parent. We can at least be their father again.
Yeah, I mean, Magneto could be in. Well, although I guess now Magneto isn't their father in the comic books again. So,
oh, I'm sure that's gonna get changed now that the deal's done. That's gonna go back.
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like the idea that he's not. I mean, I kind of like the fact that, first off, I think they always should have kept it that they were the Wizard and Ms. America's kids, because even when they and you actually have the Wizard even tell Pietro on his deathbed, I'm sorry, I should have never abandoned you too. Mm-hmm. And then they did the whole thing where actually Knucklo was their child. So bring back Knucklo. Or is it Nuclo? I don't know. I always called him Knucklo because
he's made up names.
Yeah, because he's like a radioactive man.
Yeah.
But and speaking of which, speaking of Mount Wundagore, which I sort of am. Let's talk Avengers No Road Home real quick.
Okay.
Is it just me, or are they trying to? I mean, this the way they're presenting it. I kind of got the feeling that Samaria is actually Mount Wundagore, and that Crom is the god of the mountain, Mount Wundagore. That because Crom is the god of the mountain, who doesn't ask for your prayers, and you'd be foolish to ask him for anything.
Maybe.
Because of course, Scarlet Witch is tied to Mount Wundagore. It makes me think that this is like they're trying, as they're reweaving Conan, and again, a big thing to do here, to weave Conan this much back into Marvel history.
We may be able to ask. He's been busy, but Mark Waid keeps promising that eventually he will talk to us. So
okay, well, and he is writing the new Marvel saga,
the history of the Marvel universe. Yes. And also Doctor Strange. So
he's yes,
he's writing Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Yes, I do love Doctor Strange. It is a good book. I do like it. I really love the Accountant of Magic.
You're gonna be talking all Conan now.
Oh yeah, well no, I really am in love with Conan, quite frankly. I've always loved Conan. Conan, I've said, it was like my first comic book was Conan the Barbarian, my first Marvel. And he continues to be awesome, but it just strikes me, and his talking about the Hulk as the demon of Crom, clearly a mountain being, but just the entire discussion of the mountain god. I'm thinking, well, who's the mountain god in regular Marvel continuity? It's Chaitan of Mount Wundagore. Or they're going to tie something into Mount Doom. I don't know. They might want to tie Doctor Doom into this somehow, but I got to feel. But of course, Latveria is supposed to be right near Transylvania too. So, but I get the feeling that the mountain god is Chaitan, and Chaitan is actually Crom. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, and Grey Hulk comes back in this, our Nightmare Hulk.
He looks gray, but is that our buddy Joe Fixit, or
no? He is a creature of Crom. No, it's not Joe Fixit. This is still the Devil Hulk, but he's now also a nightmare fueled, or basically he has the power of night now, because the idea of a world that is always night, meaning that the Hulk can always be out, appeals to him. Which is interesting, to say the least.
I just love when Hulk breaks was that Hypno's neck. Hawkeye's like, you just snapped his neck, and Hulk's like, yeah, I should have hit in a tree and shot him when he was a 90-pound scientist, huh, Barton?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But and for what it's worth, we actually tie into that with Immortal Hulk as well, where basically this was all Banner going off the edge here, Guy sort of arranged to have himself killed. And it's messed up, man. That's messed up. But no, I mean, I'm loving the Conan story, and just the idea of, the Hulk as now a nightmare god is kind of cool. And as far as snapping Hypnos' neck, it's like, yeah, it killed him, but as you say, it's different for gods.
You know what just hit me?
What?
we keep saying, oh, we're probably going to get Professor Hulk in Endgame. What if it's not Professor Hulk? What if it's Devil Hulk?
Well, I mean, see, Devil Hulk he's a more complex story character.
Or we think it's Professor, and then at the end, as the movie ends, we realize there's like a darker side to him, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's entirely possible we'll do that. I don't know, because since the last Hulk we had was almost a childlike Hulk.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think. Here's the thing: the Hulks we've gotten so far. First of all, I actually think we'll probably get maybe more of a Joe Fixit Hulk.
Oh, I hope so.
And honestly, that's why I think if they do a separation plot line, it would not surprise me if that Hulk is much more like Joe Fixit, which really I think, aside from being the more primal and the less verbal Hulk that we saw even as he's talking, I think the idea of a Hulk that has more of his intellect and would be a Joe Fixit, I think that seems much more likely. And in fact, I would love to see. What I'd love to see is maybe they do, and maybe in trying to bring out the Hulk, they actually accidentally separate the Hulk, and then the Hulk just sort of sorts himself out and trying to think of what to call himself. He actually sees Mighty Joe Young and says, "Joe, call me Joe. I'll fix it."
Before we get the more comics, but before we get the comics, what we didn't talk?
What?
The Orville.
The Orville. Oh man. A Gordon episode gives you the feels. Did anyone see this coming?
Nope.
And man, and what was the most interesting thing they did in this?
What?
Well, okay, first, it's interesting that they just decided to do a Gordon episode, make it an episode that really humanized Gordon.
Yeah.
And which is just such a brilliant idea to take a character that is really kind of a gag character, kind of a one-note, kind of a wacky neighbor character, and to just totally humanize him and give him the story, which, not for nothing, they did set up earlier when he's trying to get the dating advice,
Yeah, oh yeah.
That there is this idea of this loneliness to him and this desire to interact with someone. But in a story that is essentially about artificial intelligence, to not even actually have Isaac in the episode is very interesting. And
he mentioned him too. Yeah, and he's not even there.
Mentions. I was like, oh, what is Isaac not real? Because and he makes this. What I thought was his brilliant point. He was like, none of us wrote this program, and obviously the clear point in this is that the ship wrote the program.
It's still a program, yeah.
Yeah. The AI of the ship created it, and But they're also right that these are these very real beings and these real characters living out this storyline. And then, of course, what happens is Gordon crosses the line.
Oh, yes.
Deletes the boyfriend. And then everything in this person's life changes because he deleted that character. And also, at that point, she stopped being something he did not create, and it became a creation. And that's when it became unreal.
Yeah, because they find the time capsule with this old iPhone in it. Yeah, and Gordon kind of falls in love or starts having feelings for the woman. So he takes it to the simulator and says,
yeah,
I love the device not recognized.
Yes.
And then the historian at the beginning of the episode, another Star Trek cameo. Did you recognize the historian at the beginning?
No, who was that?
Tim Russ, Tuvok.
Oh, that's Tuvok. Oh,
Yes.
You know what? I didn't recognize him with the gray.
Yeah.
But what it is? I'm watching. I'm like, I know this. This is a Star Trek guy. I know it's a Star Trek guy.
Yeah.
What's weird? I never realized he was that tall. I never realized Tuvok was that tall. So that's weird to me.
Yeah, we got Tuvok. Although I was thinking, it would have been funny. They should have saved Robert Picardo for this episode and just had him give Gordon a talk, be like, holograms aren't real. Come on, what is your problem?
Well, unfortunately, they've already established they can't really get Robert Picardo back unless they.
I know. That's what I was saying. They should have had they should have had somebody else in that episode and say Robert Picardo for this one.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They may bring. Who knows? They actually could always bring Robert Picardo back as like a science consultant.
Oh, there you go.
And that would be actually interesting to get some nice tension between the new security officer who doesn't think that being in the military is a shameful career, because they do got cops on that planet. I forget the name of the planet.
But I just wanted that, like that meta moment where Robert Ricardo's telling Gordon, holograms aren't real, they're not real people.
Yeah, but would that the only problem is would that be honest for his character?
I don't know.
In this, that's the thing. It's like when you do these kind of meta moments, you always have to make sure that it makes sense within the context of what the storyline is. Yeah. And here he's a scientist and a professor, a doctor. It's likely that maybe he is going to have a different view of what establishes consciousness.
And like
I love the fact that the Orville could have these kind of real debates because you wouldn't have thought it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just a great episode. And I'm sorry, I completely skipped over what the actual plotline is. It's a time capsule. They're going through this. The Mocklins get addicted to nicotine.
I was gonna say, is Bortus just like comic relief every week now?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
Yeah, him and the husband get addicted to cigarettes.
It's a beautiful thing.
Give me. He's at their what do you call it? The machine that gives you, food and whatever.
Yeah, the replicator.
The replicator. Yeah, they're replicators or whatever they call them. Yeah, give a 500 cigarettes.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting they did not have the kid in this episode. It's interesting. There's a lot of people that are mentioned in this episode who are never on screen.
Oh yeah.
And the kid in this, and I forget the kid's name. And I wonder if that's just because they didn't want to pay to have an extra actor. This, we did blow a lot of budget on our battle with Isaac's people. And not for nothing, Isaac is a costly being to have on because he is all makeup and.
Or I wonder if they did have more people too, but they did. I wonder if they just cut stuff out to give Gordon more time, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but it is a very inexpensive bottle episode.
And the board is smoking.
Yeah, Board is smoking, and his husband, and they both.
He's sitting there on duty on the bridge. He's just carrying the ashtray.
Yeah. And I did like, and it's interesting in the idea that nobody even though cancer they got cures for it, no one still you don't want it.
No.
It's like it's like chicken pox. You don't want your kid to get chicken pox. It's like.
And I thought at first, the doctor was going to be like, "Oh yeah, the Mocklins are immune to it, immune to nicotine and cigarette smoke." So but it would just be an inconvenience for everyone else.
Yeah, no, but I like the fact that first off, they have no idea. They have no idea. And she mentioned, they have no idea what this is going to do to your system. This is not a plant that's native to your planet. Your biochemistry first off, has made you super addicted to this stuff, which is like the first thing. It's like, it's not just normal addiction. You are super addicted to this.
I thought someone was going to get stabbed again.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. One more divorce. Yeah, it is crazy what they do with the Mocklins. But yeah, I think the Mocklins do get put in that. Not for nothing, the Mocklins are a culture with a stick up their butt. And I don't mean that literally. I mean that metaphorically. Don't go there. But
no, no.
And so they are going to be hoisted by their own petard a lot. Much in the same way that I think Worf often was.
Well, yeah, but even the Mocklins, for them, they haven't been exposed to a lot of this stuff that humans and other races have, like cigarettes.
Yeah, although but they clearly have things that are on their own planet. So, it's a new thing, and
But I just wonder if, this is like the season of Bortus getting addicted to new stuff, cigarettes, porn.
Yeah, well, you know what? He's
got an addictive personality.
It makes you wonder if there is porn on Mocklus. I have to imagine they are. There is. It's not for nothing. It's an all male species. I gotta think they have porn.
Yeah, because I mean, they never said anything about, oh yeah, this is new to us. We don't have this on Mocklus. Yes, I don't.
Yeah,
they might.
No, and actually, he knew what to create. He's like, I want some good Mocklins.
Well, it was fantasy, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, people do have their fantasies in this universe.
I mean, can you imagine how out of control porn would be if you had a holodeck?
Yeah. I mean, trust me, the RoboSex apocalypse is a real thing. Do not doubt this for a minute. But that was another aspect of this where it is really very much about a person meeting someone and having a relationship with them. But also there's this side aspect to it where their relationship is by its nature a lie because he has knowledge he can't give her.
Mm-hmm.
He has to lie about what he does. Although what's funny is he had to walk back saying his father designed space stations, which he really doesn't have to. We have space stations.
Oh, true, yeah.
Because say, oh, you mean, of course he might not have known that. It's like, it is an odd job, but yeah, if he a little more research, because he works for SpaceX. He designs that for Elon Musk.
Yeah, I mean, he lied, and who says that was a completely accurate representation of her? Because I mean, it's basically just the computer taking all her data from her phone, and
well, yeah, exactly. Well, obviously, yeah, it's not the real her.
Oh, I just mean the computer could make mistakes too. I mean,
yeah. Well, no, it's it's basically what it is. It is the exact equivalent of when you go in and you say, when you go in and say, "Oh, let's go do a Sherlock Holmes mystery."
Yeah,
I want to go I want to meet Albert Einstein in the holodeck.
Create an adversary who can beat data.
Yes, exactly. Don't do that. Just why? Yeah. Anyway, but the reality is that it's going to create something, but it's going to basically say, okay, what are normal human algorithms for behavior, and how do humans behave? How does this human behave in the video content we have and the text messages we have? Because there is just tons of text messages in this, and I do love the. She clearly needs to go to the wireless telecommunications facility.
WTF? Yep.
What else could it possibly be?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but again, it's a computer, and it's like, is it going to know what a human behavior from 400 years ago?
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. Well, although it does look like humans haven't changed that much. Although, again, this was another interesting point where clearly there clearly was a great catastrophe. And this is this thing. I think this is this idea that there has to be something where recent history is fascinating, where there just is not a strong historical record of these things. And granted, you could just geek about it, but I think the reality is that clearly there was a lot of content destroyed. There was, and again, that is why these beings have this tie to late 20th century history, because that was the end of physical media. We can thank the hipsters that any physical media survived after the Great Calamity.
Oh, breaking news! Did you see the new picture Rob Southgate sent from C2E2?
Which one?
Oh, he just sent one like a minute ago. I guess he's in the same room with Agents Coulson and May.
Oh, awesome!
They must be doing a panel or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I knew they were there, so yay!
Rob Southgate, get an interview.
Yeah, come on, get Coulson on. He's not doing anything. Back. Yeah. Like we could afford Coulson. Honestly, I would love for us to get any of these guys on. Although, we got what's his name? Not us, but
Yeah, Rob
got
Agent Ward.
Boyfriend. Yeah, Ward. Thank you. I can't remember anyone's name. That was a season ago, man. Ward. Yeah, Ward was cool, man. I miss Ward. I actually really miss Framework Ward. He was a cool Ward.
Take two. Enough said. Charlie Esser's taking over.
Yeah, well, hey, invite him back.
Oh, but You want to jump back to comic books?
Sure. Which one do you want to talk next?
Oh, I was gonna say you said Avengers 17 redeemed the vampires for you.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. And again, well, sort of.
Well, better than you thought it was gonna.
Yeah. Basically, it made the vampire storyline much more interesting because, as it turns out, big reveal, the entire War of the Vampires was Dracula's master plan for reasons.
He's got his new kingdom in Chernobyl.
Yeah, and again, like I said, who in Moscow thought, oh, let's send the vampire to Chernobyl, because it's not like there's any weird reactions that people have with radioactivity on our planet, right? I can't imagine that putting him in the most radioactive place on Earth is going to have a downstream consequence.
You just gave him like an impenetrable stronghold, because I mean, you really got to take some effort to go into Chernobyl, you know.
Well, yeah, not for nothing, yes, and and if he is immune to radiation, this is not a good place for him.
No.
And it's a bad place for you, because now, because not for nothing, bodies will absorb radiation and then exude radiation, because you basically are creating radioactive vampires. How is this a good idea?
Yeah, I was gonna say it could even mutate them. They could make some worse vampires.
Who knows what they're going to create? It was a bad idea. But here's my question. This Red Widow character, is she relatively new?
Yeah, I think this is the first story. Yeah, because I don't know who's under that hood.
I think this is actually the 1940s Black Widow.
Maybe.
There is a series called The 12, which is canon, which a bunch of like old Marvel pulp heroes sort of also got frozen at the end of World War II, though they were put into like stasis chambers by the Nazis for reasons, and they all got woken up in the modern day, and it tells their story. That took a long time to complete. It was a great series, though. Highly recommend anyone, if you can find the collection of The 12, read The 12. It's great. Only 12 issues, but Rockman is such an awesome character. I really wish people would do more with Rockman. But one of the characters was a character called the Black Widow, and she was essentially what she was is she made a deal with the devil, and she kills people who have done evil. It's pretty awesome, and actually there's a bunch of characters like that. That's where you get not Megamind. What is it? Excello, Mastermind Excello. If you recall, that's the soap company that Amadeus Cho won the Mastermind Excello soap company.
Yeah.
That got him named the 7th smartest man in the world. What it was basically what it was Mastermind Excello. It's, in addition to being a super genius, also wound up with a radioactive bullet in his brain that gave him a certain amount of clairvoyance as well, so he could predict people's movements and things. But basically, he's just a super genius from the 1940s. So he was one of the characters there. There was just a bunch of cool little pulp characters, but one of them was this Black Widow character, and it strikes me that would be an awesome person to be the Red Widow, because they have made mentions about her, like making that there's something dark and mysterious about her, more than just being like a Red Room character.
What if she's like Dracula's inside man? What if she's a vampire? Maybe what if that's why what if that's her mysterious thing and why she's alive so many decades later?
I mean, that's a possibility too. I mean, what I think is, although I think the idea that maybe if she is actually in league with the devil, and maybe the devil is in league with Dracula, because clearly, from what we see at the end of this, as it turns out, this entire War of the Vampires was just basically Dracula deciding he wanted to kill all the vampires, wanted to thin the herd.
Mm-hmm.
That there were just too many dang vampires, and the only thing to do was just kill them all, and why not have a war with the vampires that'll eventually allow me to take my hand-selected team of vampires, which sadly we find out that the Shadow Colonel was actually Dracula's son. Yeah, which is weird because how does Dracula even have a son? Unless it's just a, it's like do vampires have kids? I don't know how this necessarily.
Yeah, I don't
works.
know. Different universes are. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what that is.
Unless it's just because unless it's just a vampire he created person. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm guessing when he created that was very close to him. Maybe it was actually Vlad Tepes's actual son.
What I was going to say, unless he had a kid before he was turned, and then once he became a vampire, he made a vampire.
I'd have to look into that. But anyway, and that's the big reveal that basically the entire thing was all a ruse. But one of the things that we see in this is that clearly they had dealings with the devil and Ghost Riders, and specifically, Johnny Blaze is in the, and we also have Ghost Rider come back at the end to have the big triumph, but then it also becomes a little bit hollow because clearly this was what Dracula wanted the whole time. So that level of manipulation, although again, like I said, a little overly convoluted for my taste, except with the fact that clearly what Dracula wanted to do was kill all vampires, except for a few. Basically, he felt there were too many dang vampires like these guys over in California, which totally everyone forgot about. Whoa, yeah, vampire cult in California. Don't worry about
that. Those posers.
They're California vampires. No one cares.
But no, like the best line I think was like, She-Hulk kind of blew up like a gamma bomb, and she's like, I gotta get better control of my powers. I'm gonna kill. I could have killed us all. And Thor's like, Nah, I would have been fine.
Yeah, well, yeah. Literally though, yeah. He would have been fine. He has been at ground zero of nuclear bomb tests. In fact, that was an old. I remember that was the first appearance of the Tomorrow Man. Was Thor just sort of Thor, we just want you to stand right next to the atomic bomb because we want to see how an atomic bomb blowing up affects you. It's like, yep, sounds good.
But speaking of Thor, do you want me to tell you about Thor 11?
Yeah, tell me about Thor 11. I did not get the chance to read this one yet.
It's very good, especially considering I think it's basically set up for War of the Realms. But I mean, it starts with like Thor. I guess Thor's been diving into the sun over and over trying to find Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And
his mom tells him to get out of there.
Yeah, she's like, you don't need the hammer. It's basically stop torturing yourself. And I guess she reveals she was like a hammer welder.
Oh, she had her own hammer back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
I guess that's where he gets it from.
I guess so. Well, except she's not actually his mother. So
well, yeah, but
although it's different for gods. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like they really the whole god lineage thing.
Yeah, it could be a magic spell or something. Yeah.
Well, because she is a mother goddess. Gaia is the Mother Earth, so she may actually have ties. And when they did the whole triple goddess thing, and Gaia was one of them with Freya and Idun, which was an interesting choice because usually you do Mother, Maiden, Crone, but they did sort of Mother, Maiden, Warrior. But Freya was the warrior, but she's also the mother. So yeah, and of course when you do a triple goddess, and actually usually when you do a triple goddess, they are all. It's sort of the Christian Trinity, where it is all all are one goddess. So maybe she is really Thor's mother. But I want to talk about Loki's mother.
Duh.
Because that's the mystery, and no one wants to talk about it, man. Because no one wants to admit that her and Laufey got it on, and that maybe it was consensual.
I mean, it could be because we get it's only like one page, but we get Loki in this issue like saying, I stabbed, Freya, I stabbed you, talking to himself basically, and he's just like, it was all for nothing, and I'm gonna get what I deserve, and he's like, I'm just one Loki. What has it ever gotten me? But yeah, he feels bad about stabbing her. So
because she has been the only mother he's ever known.
Yeah,
and they've certainly, especially since the movies, they've really played up that relationship between Loki and Freya, and that has definitely gotten translated into the comics, where Freya's a magic. So basically, Freya's a hammer wielder and a magic user. So they're just really showing that basically this lady raised these two kids, and Odin was just so off being a Sky Father.
Oh yeah,
Just a classic 50s dad. He just goes off, builds a universe, comes home from a hard day smiting, and just wants to be left alone with his pipe.
and remember that issue we got with that flashback with Thor when he was in love with that human woman. And there's a flashback, I guess, right after she died. He took Freya and he was telling her all about her, and he's like, it's basically I can love. I'm not this spoiled child that father thinks I am and stuff. And she's like, you remember what she's like, I know what kind of child you are. She's like, remember what I told you? She's like, forget trying to be worthy, find love.
There you go.
I'm guessing War of the Realms did this also. Guess who woke up?
Who woke up?
Volstagg.
Yay! You see, you buried the lead on that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to go in order, but yeah, I mean he's basically in a panic. He's like, the war Thor knows, the thunder calls all its children. They have, and basically Jane Foster has to sedate him with she gives him 11 sedatives.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because not only is he an Asgardian, but he's Volstagg. That guy's got a tolerance.
Yeah, and as he's passing out, he's just saying, just need my hammer, broken hammer on Asgard.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Jane Foster's in her cancer's in complete remission.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Thank goodness for that.
And then
tears growing back in everything.
And then there's a big thunderclap right after she hears the good news. So
yeah,
she's still tied to that hammer. Uh-huh.
Well, of course she is. Yeah.
Well, because at the end, they show Thor still trying to find Mjolnir in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, we'll be reunited at last. He's like, but until then, I have a war to fight. But then at the end, something's reaching out of the sun.
Mm-hmm. Dun, dun, dun.
Got Mjolnir.
Oh, or Music Drill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, I guess War of the Realms #1 comes out in 2 weeks, it says.
Okay, well, got to get that. Got to put that on the poll list. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. It sounds great, and this, I've definitely, I love Volstagg. And they said you told me Volstagg was in it.
Yeah, wakes up. Yes.
Yeah, man, Volstagg. He's always awesome.
Well, it's War of the Realms. It's like all hands on decks. I think it's crossing over with everything.
Oh yeah, this is the new big crossover. Because Fear itself worked so great. They said these Asgardian crossovers. I actually like Fear itself, but like I said, I read the Loki book. If you read the Loki book, Fear itself made a lot more sense. Oh, and that was my favorite part about the Avengers was Thori.
Oh yes, yes.
Thori, good murder dog. Do not Thori murder you.
Better than vampire dog.
Yes. Thori, not. Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to see. A more Thori. Thori, good murder dog. Thori, murder you good. Yeah, and it makes sense if you got a devil dog. Let's get a bigger devil dog, and we got the biggest devil dog of all, Thori. Child of a hellhound and the guardian of hell, the two-headed wolf. Yes. So, anyway, what else? What else did we read this week?
I know you said you didn't get through it yet, but Wolverine Infinity Watch #2.
Yes. How did that come out?
It was good. It's basically Loki and Wolverine chasing after this new guy who has the time stone, but he's also being chased by a Chitauri warrior. And basically, I mean, Loki ends the fight basically and tricks this Chitauri into leaving because he casts the illusion that the Chitauri kills Wolverine and gets the stone. So
no,
yeah, but then the Raptors show up and they actually take this the stone holder, and Loki's like, well, we could just let that be the end of it, right? And Wolverine's like, yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yes. How are they going to get this stone out of this guy?
I don't know. Because basically, I mean, this guy is the prime example. I guess the stones are or at least some of them are gaining their own personalities or whatever. So, could that be a plot point we might see somewhere, Charlie Esser?
Well, not for nothing. They've always said that the stones wanted to be together.
Yeah.
So, and that was even from the previous comics. So, I mean, giving them their own sentience, it's an interesting twist, and I've always said that, but I feel like they've always had that. This maybe they're just making it more explicit now.
Oh yeah.
And I do think, I think when we see this in the movies, we're going to have that whole concept that the stones are making their own choices and communicating to each other and manipulating what goes on, because clearly the stones have been active.
Well, did you see the theory online? I don't know if I buy this or would even like it, but I guess one of the theories was like, I don't know if there's an accident. What if there's an accident with the stones, or the stones get destroyed, or something happens, and like whatever energy comes out of them basically creates mutants, the mutant race. Yeah, I know. I'm not.
I mean, well, first off, you don't need that because mutants are just natural.
Yeah.
Normal human evolution. Because clearly we know that humans can be imbued with superpowers. So it's not a big leap to say that humans could have just naturally developed superpowers, especially since most other races have superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice this, that is super strong or super fast or can change shape. They all got something going on, know? So I don't think it's that weird of an idea that just we are going to find out that mutants. I think it's going to be that mutants have always been there, but that they haven't been as public because, as I've said,
or S.H.I.E.L.D. or somebody's been covering them up, or
exactly. Honestly, what would be very interesting is you find out that here is the end credit scene you want, if you want that X reference, is we get Coulson saying, well, this is a facility. We made a deal with the guy who runs this facility to sort of take care of young individuals who showed up, who came on our radar that we didn't know quite where to put. And it just says Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters. What? They're right on the table.
But I mean,
I
mean, there's precedent for S.H.I.E.L.D., keeping this stuff secret, because I mean, weren't they trying to keep the existence of Inhumans under wraps until that whole fish oil debacle?
Yeah, well, everything. Honestly, the whole thing was, they had been keeping, because when we saw Angar and all the different people that were Mr. Hyde's Masters of Evil, sort of kind of the sad version of the Masters of Evil, but still, basically any superpowered being that they came across who had any kind of powers that they either couldn't utilize or kill, basically they got locked up or whatever, and they did establish the idea that clearly there are what do you call them, there are psychics and things like that in this universe, because when they introduced Deathlock, they actually thought the clairvoyant was the clairvoyant, and that was where they gave the shout out to Department H, because he was a Canadian. Yes, and I remember all these episodes. And also, interestingly enough, in that whole concept is just the idea that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been covering everyone up for years. They clearly have things that they've been working on with superhuman beings, and aliens have been visiting Earth for thousands of years now, we know, manipulating genomes. So I don't think you need a lot to say that mutants have always been here. You just don't know it, because really, how would you know unless a mutant was running around doing stuff?
What if they do use the stones, but they do it in like a roundabout way, where like they were trying to test the stones in the 40s or 50s, and like it expanded?
Well, I mean, along those lines, the original idea of mutants was once mankind started blowing up nuclear bombs, that's what was causing all the mutations. That was the original idea. But it was also that they were just born with the powers, but then they did say they were the children of the atom, and all that kind of stuff, because they were the atomic age children, that children are just being born with superpowers now. Because Stanley didn't want to have to come up with another origin.
Leave the man alone. They just canceled that comic strip. Come on.
It's like, origins. Takes so much time. Well, but if you think about it, it makes sense from his perspective. Like, there's so much radiation in the air nowadays. They're always testing these nuclear bombs. Kids are just being born with superpowers now. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And it makes sense from the established cosmological structure that he has of that universe. If radiation gives superpowers, and there is now an excess of radiation in the world, clearly people are just going to start randomly developing superpowers. So there you go. Stan Lee, as always, a genius. Yeah. So I mean, what we're gonna. Here's the thing. At this point, if we don't get a Fox merger end credit scene, I think everyone's going to be mad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, people are going to be disappointed if nothing else. Yeah.
And the other thing they could do is they could also do something that is much more subtle, which is just inserting references to what we see there, kind of like in the way that in that first X-Men, was it the first X-Men movie or the second X-Men movie? Where no, it was the second X-Men movie that was based off of God Loves Man Kills, I believe. The second X-Men movie with General Stryker. Yeah, where when they running the list of known mutants, and you see on there's Franklin Richards.
Oh yeah.
So it's like they could do just stuff like that. They could just do Easter eggs because they can drop in Easter eggs anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And those are very easy to do, relatively cheap to do. You know, like you say, you just have to have something that references the Baxter Building. You know, like honestly, you could if there's a scene in the subway, you just say Baxter Building station.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. If they do anything, it's just going to be like a sign or something. It's going to be.
Yeah,
just something that's it, with a 4 or an X on it. Something that hints at it, but yeah, you're not going to get.
Well, yeah, like I said, but you don't even have to have it be a 4 or an X. You just have to say, Richards Technologies. I don't know, or like I said, or just Baxter Building, or Xavier's School.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the more if it's a drop in, it has to be something that can be on a map.
Yes.
Which is why I think the Baxter Building is the easiest one to do. Because if you're going to do something like that, just because it's something that people are going to know what it means, and you just have to have it on the map. You show something that would be on a map.
You show Avengers Tower, and then you pan around it, and when you get to the other, you see behind it all of a sudden the Baxter Building or something.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, the easiest thing to do would be you had a scene where you had an Oscorp building. And now we just have to change it to the Baxter Building.
There we go.
Yeah. And remember, they're not at Avengers Tower anymore. They sold that to some guy.
Yeah. Are they gonna have it? Are they gonna have it a mansion soon?
Yeah. Who knows? There are not a lot of mansions left in Manhattan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't have to be in the city.
There are a couple. But Avengers Mansion was.
Yeah.
The original Avengers Mansion was because you do have a few that are like that, but they actually none of them have grounds anymore. It's just big buildings because you got to sell that stuff off, man. And once your robber baron grandfather no longer owns the lease, you can't really do much with it. So,
well, the other thing too, who the first writer was who put the Avengers in the tower, right?
That would be Mr. Bendis. Yes,
Bendis.
Yeah, well, it's great. Of course, Stan Lee did it first, so
I'm just saying. I mean, they might just be like, yeah, forget the tower, going back to a mansion or something.
Yeah,
a brownstone.
Yeah. Or they could just be out in Queens, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. They don't have to be right in Manhattan or anything.
They should come to Newark. We got mansions in Newark.
There you go.
There we go. It's a nice big sprawling estate down here in Jersey. Come to Jersey. Meet Ms. Marvel. Yeah, I mean, anything like that is possible. But I do think. Like I said, I think they're gonna want to open it with something that's gonna make you feel light and fun, which is why I do think opening it with Lewis, meeting up with Scott when he comes back from the quantum realm.
Hopefully,
hopefully
Lewis is still there.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. Only half the people are gone.
I know.
He's got a 50-50 chance, And not for nothing, everyone else in Scott's life is gone now. Lewis had to survive. It's like just process of elimination. Okay, Hank's gone, Hope's gone, Janet's gone. his wife, his kid, the cop is gone, as far as we know. Lewis has to survive because it's like just by the chances of when you have 5 random people and only half the people on the planet are gone and 4 of the 5 are gone, most likely the 4th guy survived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that was so great about Lewis review.
Yeah, well, or however Lewis, because he'll probably be a little down. It's like, oh man, you don't know what happened, man.
Oh man, you don't know what happened. That blonde guy didn't go for the head, and people started disappearing. And it was just like, what? And then,
although what would be really cool is if he starts off like, okay. So first off, there was this guy who was downtown. It was like doing something with gravitonium. I don't know, but then at the same time, like over in this, so it's like, okay. So first off, there's like this place called Wakanda. I don't know. Oh yeah, I was there for Wakanda. But yeah.
And then there was a fight. Then there was a fight in the middle of the city with Iron Man and some wizard guy, and
yeah, the wizard guy. Yeah.
And then his spider kid showed up.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of things to do, but to do that kind of a recap. But what would be neat is like he's doing it, but maybe he has like a little downbeat to it, because he's like, yeah, well, okay, he's like doing his shtick, but it's because that's still him. It's like, yeah, but man, it's kind of really heavy, Like, oh my God, Scott, you're still alive, then he's like all excited because he sees Scott. It's like, the Lewis. Here's the thing: I don't see how you don't open it with Lewis at this point, because it's just like, because here's the thing. You want to remind people, okay, look, guys, we know he left you really hanging, but we want you to know this is a Marvel movie, okay? Yeah. Because we all saw, freaking that Goose didn't have a lasagna reference or a Mondays reference was the highest level of restraint that Marvel has.
It probably just comes down to how much they're going to have in the Endgame movie, because we're already probably going to clock in 3 hours. That probably just depends how much room they have.
Yeah, but it's like 3 minutes to do that.
Yeah, I know.
Trust me. It doesn't take a lot to do.
Yeah.
And it's going to set people at ease. And like I said, if Lewis is gone too, then Thanos was playing favorites, okay? That's all I'm saying. It's like, this wasn't 50-50 Thanos.
Yeah.
Really, you weren't doing an even 50-50. You got rid of all the extra characters just to focus on these 5,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was not truly random. That's all I can say. All
right, I think we may even be over as it is, but I was gonna say our time.
Oh, we are? Okay. I thought we didn't even start till 6. Okay. But that's fine. So anyway, that was this week of Super Connections. Philip, if people would like to connect, did you have something else you want to
No.
Okay. So how can people reach out to you?
If you want to talk to me, you can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter, I am @nightwingpdp.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our moms and pops once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And by the way, Phil, what number can people reach us at if they'd like to call us? And leave us
the voicemail. Yes. You can always call us in your own voice, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. We can play your voice live on here, on Capes and Lunatics, any of the shows. So,
and hey, any of you creators who we rave about, if you don't actually want to subject yourself to questions from me, you can always just leave us a message with your thoughts on how I'm a dumbass.
Oh yeah, like Peter David. Yeah. Or
Peter David says.
Or hey, Bendis, if you want to kamikaze dive bomb us, leave us a voicemail.
Please do, Mr. Bendis.
Yes. That'd be awesome.
Anyway, and of course, if you'd like to follow me on the Twitter, live tweet the Orville, which I did live tweet, and or Gotham, or any of these other shows I like Cloak and Dagger or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
back. Yeah, Cloak and Dagger's
coming back. You can always do so at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality.
Bing. There you go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for super connecting with us. Please super connect with us again next week. That's super connect. Good night.
Good night.
And that was this show. That was fun.
But yeah, Cloak and Dagger's coming back soon, I think.
Oh, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see what's going on with Monica Rambeau in Endgame, though.
Oh yeah.
You know, she's got a spaceship, man.
She's got powers.
She's good. Well, she's gonna be freaking Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. something.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, Agent of S.W.O.R.D.